Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Guys Playing Games. We've separated.
Shut up, I'll do it. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Guys Playing Games. I'm not with Ed today. I am in my own place because I was like, no, I want comfort and sweatpants. So I came home instead. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Guys Playing Games. I'm Perry.
I'm Az.
And I'm Ed.
And I just said Guys Playing Games, so I'm not saying it again.
That's us.
How are we all?
We are them.
We
Well,
good?
you? Good?
Yeah, I'm alright. Not bad.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Were you,
This is weird this week because we're like the fucking Brady Bunch. I'm like looking down and Ed's there, and like I'm looking over there and Perry's there. It's fucking...
Yeah, it's true. It is weird, but I'm kind of okay with it. I like just being, you know.
It's fine. It's all fine.
I need to invest in a new mic, but that's about it.
Instead, I feel like Perry's like a
Well,
policeman.
it's like a crap headset. I'm using a SteelSeries Arctis 7. Like, it's not a crap headset at all. It's the best headset on the market right now.
It's not a premium microphone.
It's not a dedicated microphone stream. What we've been doing? How are we? Hello.
I think we've done that.
By the way, if nobody's guessed already, we're complete. This episode's a bit of a wing.
I had a fucking brain fart right there. It was like, Right, are we doing what we've been playing?
Yeah.
So this week, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about a theme that we have been saying that we're going to talk about for a little while, and that theme is
best video game characters.
Yeah, our favorite video game characters, and like
the best.
We're talking about the best. Because I think picking a favourite is difficult because like there's loads that are just good.
Yeah,
memorable.
Yes,
memorable. Yeah. I was thinking about this earlier today, and I've got a few in mind. But before we get into that, are we going to do what we've been playing?
Yeah, we're going to blitz through what we've been playing, and I want to blitz through a bit of new stuff, and then we'll get into the meat of the discussion.
The meat of the podcast.
Yeah, I like it. It sounds good.
We're switching it up just to let people know as well. We're switching up a little bit. We're going to go a bit more topical week to week now, aren't we, guys? We're going to sort of, try and have more, not a theme, because I don't think theme's the right word. We're going to be a bit more topical every week and have an actual topic.
A discussion point. Yeah, an actual discussion point. Instead of being like what we've been playing and talk about it for 25 minutes each.
And we'll tell you how much DPS our characters have got, and like it's like shit no one really cares about. Like, unless you're watching us play it, then who gives a fuck? So
I mean, I do. But
yeah, you do. But then, like, if you're sitting driving in a car and it's like, well, all the stats are changed, and when we're reading through stats, and people are like, I'm bored, I'm gonna fucking listen to how the Earth is flat on a different podcast. I've been doing.
Fucking knew that you would get back to the flat Earth thing.
Earth is
what is
flat.
wrong with you? You're a broken boy.
I'm not actually a flat earther.
Don't care what your opinion is on the Earth, but just tell me what you've been playing this week, please.
I have been playing God of War.
That was the shittest drum roll in the world.
I didn't know how it would pick up or whatever.
God of War. You've been playing God of War.
I've been playing Dad of War.
I've been playing Dad of War.
Beard of War.
I've been playing Dad of War. Again. Jesus fucking Christ, like, if you don't have a PlayStation, I know, Perry, you're going to be like, fuck you, I ain't got one. Don't have a PlayStation, get a PlayStation. If you've got a PlayStation, buy this fucking game. Legit. I was broad to say this is up there with the best games, period.
Yeah.
Full stop.
I fully agree. I've not even played it yet, and I fully agree. I've been watching a playthrough, but it's like an unannotated one. Like there's no commentary over it. It's literally
just gameplay.
It's just pure gameplay. Yeah, and honestly, I'm like, I'm like in the first 3 hours, and I'm like, I need this game. I mean, I'm probably about 11 deep now. I think. Okay. I'm not even going to say where I am because I don't know. I'm about 11 hours in. Cool, that's big. You linked that website, the completionist website, about how long. Like it lists like relevant gameplay hours.
Yeah,
so like casual playthrough was what, 25 hours or something?
Yeah, I think like a casual playthrough is like 22 to 25, and I think if you just were hardcore blitzing the main plot, it's like 14 hours.
Yeah.
Which I've been kind of like, this is what I was trying to explain to a friend the other day. He was like, "Oh, you're not really exploring." I was like, "But I am, but I'm not straying from the path." If you know what I mean? Like, I'll explore the areas I'm in fully and do all the bits and pieces around that, but I'm not really running off and doing my own thing, because you can do that. But I'm just kind of sticking more to the plot. And plus the story, my God, the
so thick. Like I didn't even realize until I read a review that it was based on Norse mythology.
Yeah,
and I was like, wow. I was like, okay, yep, you already had me. You already got me.
Well, that was the whole thing. I mean, obviously, you know, the end of God of War 3. If you haven't played God of War 3, spoilers, Kratos basically kills himself at the end of the game. So it's kind of left, but you see the blood trail leading off the side of this cliff, and it's all left on a bit of a cliffhanger of like, oh, he's obviously alive, blah blah blah.
Get it?
So the premise of the game is that he's been in exile essentially for years, and had a kid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So
The
no
only...
spoilers, but just give us like, you're enjoying it, obviously.
Yes, immensely.
Good.
And the thing is with the game is, just getting back to the story, is like the story is super meaty and is as good as like any film or anything like that. The voice work is like, and Kratos in the original games is quite a one-dimensional character. He's like stabby, stabby, kill, kill. Whereas in this, like, he's got layers, like he's got baggage, he's got damage. You know, this dude, like, he's a real, you know, he's not relatable, because like relatable is not the right word, but you can kind of feel for this guy and his kid and the situation they're in and everything like that. But like the voice work is just unreal. Like, it's so good. Like, even the side characters that you run into and stuff, and the little interactions you have.
Like, even the voice acting from the kid is like really impressive.
It's real top tier shit the whole way through.
I've been avoiding everything because I know I am going to get it or play it in the near future. So I've just been. Yeah. I basically haven't seen any gameplay other than like the E3 stuff that was shown. Yeah. Like, I haven't seen.
Continue to avoid it. Don't spoil it.
Yeah. Like to be fair.
I'm not gonna. I'm like 3 hours in, and I'm not gonna keep watching this playthrough because I want to get it and I want to play it myself.
I was gonna say, I'd say just quit while you're ahead, because as well with the E3 gameplay sticks a lot to one area of the game. But they didn't spoil any of the other areas that you go to later in the game, which is really good. Like, it's mad how little, but how much it looked like they showed, but they actually didn't show much at all in all the stuff that they did show.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about it. But yeah, like it's huge, it's beautiful, the graphics are insane, the sound is insane. The combat is literally some of the most rewarding and like epic feeling I've played in the game.
What difficulty you playing it on?
I'm playing on Give Me a Balance. I think there's like Give Me a Story.
Fucking poo boy.
There's Give Me a Story, Give Me a Chat, Give Me Balance, Give Me a Challenge, and then there's God. So I'm playing on Give Me Balance because I just want to play the game and enjoy it. I don't want to have a fucking sweat fest and like worry about what areas that piss me off and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's the kind of thing I go for these days. It's like I want to spend time with it and get through it. I don't want to have to repeat the same thing 30 times to like.
That's it. The completionist in me might have been a bit more drawn to it if there was an achievement for that. But there's not an achievement for it. It's not really a spoiler. I guess maybe it's a spoiler. But there is, as far as I'm aware anyway, there's no trophies for doing it on a harder difficulty. So for me, it was just like, right, I'm going to do it on Give Me Balance. It's not too easy, but it's not too hard. It's quite that balance, that nice in between. But yeah, obviously we don't want to talk about what we've been playing too much. But like all I say is it's fantastic. And if you've not played it, then you need to play it because it is that good.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's me.
Go on then, Ed, hit me up.
Well, carrying on the Norse mythology theme, I've been playing a mobile game this week called Oddmar, which is about a little Viking. I kind of picked it up a bit on a whim. So it's I've been playing it on iOS. It's in the App Store. It costs $4.99, so it's none of this microtransaction.
You paid money for it?
I paid real money for like a full game with no additional gubbins. So yeah, it's a whole game. It's a 2D platformer. It's really nice art style. Visually, it's really, really nice. Plays incredibly well.
What's it called?
It's called Oddmar.
It's super Rayman-esque, like modern day Rayman-esque.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
I mean, the art
it's an
style,
arty. Yeah, it's kind of an arty 2D. It's got a really nice kind of art style to it. Plays really well on the touch controls. Yeah, surprisingly well. Like, quite interestingly, instead of like tapping to jump, you actually do like a pull down gesture to like jump, or no, swipe up. Sorry, which sounds kind of odd when you first encounter it. It's like swipe up the screen to jump sounds kind of awkward, but it actually works really well. And when you kind of double,
it's almost like you're throwing your character.
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't feel like a jump. It feels like you're literally just throwing a character.
Yeah. And so when you're like jumping up, you know, going like wall to wall, like doing multi jumps up walls and stuff, kind of doing like little swipey. It's like, yeah, it's really well put together. Level design is really nice. There's some really nice variety. I've just got to World 4, and so it's keeping it fresh. So each world is like 5 levels. There's secret things there's like secret coins that you have to find in each level. There's like 3 secret thingies to find in each level. So each world is 5 levels, and then an extra like boss fight world level. And yeah, so I've just started World 4. Really enjoying it. It's a really nice little game. Highly recommend it for a non microtransaction-y mobile game. Another thing,
it looks pretty funky. It's my kind of cup of tea as well.
Yeah, it's like I say, like for a £5, it was a bit of a kind of impulse thing. I just kind of saw it in the store and I was like, that looks kind of cool, and watched the video and was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a crack, and I'm glad I did. I'm really enjoying it. Actually, yeah,
that's cool.
The other thing, there's a really nice story throughout it as well. So the story is introduced in like sort of 2D. It's almost kind of comic booky style sort of 2D scenes where where there's like a background and then the sort of character moves very slightly across the page. It's kind of almost like an animated comic book almost, and then there's like a guy who just narrates it and does all the different voices, and it's really nicely done. And there's one of these things that lasts like a minute or two after practically every level, so the kind of storyline's really nicely kind of interwoven into it as well. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. The other thing that I want to mention really quickly, because I've been promising one of my clan for a couple of weeks, I switched clans on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, another mobile game. I left my old clan, Milk Empire, because they were becoming very serious and lots of mandatory, like, you must do this many things per day, blah, blah, blah. And they were getting very serious in how they were approaching sort of some of the end game content. It was like, I don't have time to be involved in that. So I was like, I'm going to bail and go somewhere else. So I joined some other guys called Shadow of Korriban. They're a growing guild, and we're recruiting. And I promised I would give a shout out for recruitment purposes. So Eden, our clan leader, can now get off my case because I've mentioned it, and I forgot to the past.
So what's this on Star Wars Galaxy?
Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. It's like
by all accounts, it's a really good mobile game.
Yeah,
like, it's chock full of microtransactions, but yeah. Otherwise it's like.
So you collect like the hero card thing, or is that?
Yeah, it was when it was originally announced. It sounded like it was going to be like a Hearthstone thing, but it wasn't at all. You collect the characters, and then you battle in squads of 5 against other squads.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's like a whole guild aspect where you do like guild territory warfare, where you fight against other clans and guilds and stuff. And there's quite a lot of content. It's because it's been going a good 2-3 years now, and yeah, it's built up quite a lot of content.
Nice.
Shadow of Korriban, we're recruiting.
There you go.
There you go, guys.
If anyone's listening and wants to join, then hit up Ed on Twitter. I'm sure he can hook you up with some deep.
Yeah.
Perry, what have you been up
to? Standard stuff. Not as much RuneScape this week. You'll all be pleased to know.
Shock horror.
I mean, I'm still doing RuneScape stuff, obviously, because I'm a nerd. But I've actually been playing Hearthstone a lot this week. I've been playing with some pretty fun decks. So it turns out I had a lot of dust. I basically spent an hour of my life dusting all of my wild cards. Like,
you know how fucking crazy that sounds? You stood there dusting your cards. Like, to me, who knows nothing about the game, it's like, that sounds nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I was just dusting my cards.
It's pretty funny. So for anyone like Az that doesn't know what dusting my cards means, I basically was destroying my cards to create the in-game currency, so I could build other cards that are like more relevant. So and it's called Dust. Like that's the in-game currency. So yeah, I basically spent an hour dusting my entire card collection, my wild card collection, and not just like legendaries and epics, like literally every card that I have. Because I was like, I'm never going to play wild, because wild is the shittest format I've ever seen in a game ever. So I dusted them all. I had about 10,000 dusts, and I made 4 really good decks.
Nice.
I made Baku Rogue, Baku Paladin. Az doesn't know anything what I'm saying. Ed, you might know. Baku Rogue, Baku Paladin. I made Quest Rogue and Spiteful Priest.
Nice.
And I am doing really well with them.
Cool.
It's good fun.
Good times.
That's basically it for that. And I've been playing some Overwatch as well. I've been getting to grips with the new patch that's going to come out, basically, where Doomfist is getting a huge buff. So I've been practicing Doomfist a lot recently because I really like Doomfist gameplay. And he's getting buffed. The hitbox on his rocket punch is getting widened, basically. So your hit area is bigger, so there's more room for error, basically, and you can still successfully like punch someone into a wall. So that'll be fun. Yeah, that's basically me this week. Not a lot of
game.
stuff. You should come play it. Me, Chip. I've been playing with Rich, Jono, and Chip. So we're a 4-man. So come play.
I've been so in depth with single player stuff / wild
yeah.
games. Like it's just totally taken over my game time.
Yeah, I feel you.
When God of War's done, I'll come join you.
I'm to be fair, I should probably take the time to steal Ed's PS4 and play God of War while you're playing it, and then
I love how you're still making this a thing. Like, yeah, I should steal Ed's PS4. Like dropping that seed before we come on air. He was like, "I'm going to steal your PS4." Now it's,
it's not dropping seeds. I'm going to steal it.
Shit, you got keys to my house as well.
I've got keys to his house.
Oh,
I can go around when they're not even there.
Just break in and be like, "Oh, by the way,
breaking in. It's not even breaking in.
No.
Yeah,
no forced entry. So
there's no forced entry. You report me, it'll be fine. Actually, no. You have a record of me saying that I'm going to break into your house and steal it. No, okay. It doesn't hold up in court of law. No. But anyway, I'm taking your PS4, just so you know.
Okay.
So that's what we've been playing.
That's what we've been playing. That's what we've been doing. Let's touch on some newsy bits.
Rattle through some.
There's some cool stuff that we want to talk about this week. I've got some cool stuff to talk about this week as well, but it's not on our spreadsheet because I don't update that.
Yeah, you should.
I should.
Go quick fire round.
So I'm going to quick fire through a whole bunch of my Ed's Battle Royale news section, because there's all sorts of wonderful things happening in the world of Battle Royale. Okay, so here we go. Let's go.
Wait.
I was going to talk about this.
You do that. I'm going to eat a mini roll.
Right. Okay. Thanks for that interruption. That was so worth it. I was going to talk about this last week because it was more around on Twitch, but there was a new Battle Royale game that was in kind of closed alpha-y beta-y stage called Ring of Elysium. The reason this game is so important is because it is coming from the Chinese publisher Tencent, who hold the license for PUBG, but also they have the developer Bluehole, who made the mobile version, the official mobile version of PUBG. But then they've also gone off and made their own fully fledged Battle Royale game. And everyone I was watching play it on Twitch said the same thing. And that was, this is what PUBG would be like if they fixed it.
So the publishers basically couldn't make the developers fix PUBG. So they were like, fuck you, PUBG, we're going to make our own.
And the fact that it's on the same engine, like it's on Unreal.
It's just Unreal PUBG. But better.
But better
is what you're saying.
And it has some nice like quality of life stuff.
Holy shit! Sorry, I've just like put footage on and I couldn't hold that holy shit in. Like, wow, this is a rip-off, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it's the same exact same weapons, maybe slightly stylized visually, but yeah, same weapons, like nicer environment. Nice little quality of life things, like when you pick up mods for weapons, they automatically apply themselves rather than you have to go into.
It looks exactly like PUBG.
It literally does, yeah.
When you hit enemies in the distance, you get like the little there's a reference like thing on your crosshair to say that you've hit them, like the little thing that pings up on your crosshair saying like you did damage to this person, rather than you having to stare into the distance to see if the blood spray happens.
Did he die?
Yeah. So there's little tweaks and stuff which make it, which funnily enough are all in the mobile version of PUBG.
Is this gonna be the PUBG killer? Like this is the thing, right? Like if so, you create a great game, then that's fine.
Yeah.
It's in early access, that's still fine. But a year after it's been launched, it's still buggy and shit. Like someone else is going to come along and they're going to make that game. They're going to do it better than you, and you're going to lose your player base. Like,
but this is what Fortnite did essentially.
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean, Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite was always envisioned as the single player thing, and then obviously PUBG's star was rising quite rapidly. Fortnite probably wasn't doing as well as Epic might have hoped at the
that's
time.
what I'm saying.
So somehow, out of nowhere, like God knows how quickly they turned it around, but they were like, "Hey, you know what? We could just build a Battle Royale mode in Fortnite."
But this is what we were talking about, like with COD and Battlefield 1 and stuff like that. These games are fucked when they start doing it. Like for me, like I can't see how COD, especially with a Battle Royale mode, is going to be undeniable. Surely, like it's just going to fucking kill PUBG.
Yeah, like the Battlefield one.
Kill it's a bit of a strong word, but it will damage its player base. Definitely.
The Battlefield one, I can't believe they haven't done before because of like the scale of the games that they, they have like fucking 40v40 games and stuff. Like they were halfway there. Like all they had to do was make it. Yeah. I mean, however, but they've had these large scale multiplayer arenas. So yeah, the fact that they've never quite got there. But yeah, the rumor is that Battlefield 5, which is coming out later this year, is going to have a BR mode, but might not launch at the same time as the base game. But yeah, other stuff. Xbox version of PUBG, Miramar has been released for a test server thing. If you own PUBG on Xbox, you can download a separate like test server client and try Miramar. So that's happening this week. PUBG Mobile, last weekend they added a really fun arcade mode, which I've been having a lot of fun with, and it is basically a 28 player really small circle, and you get one of 4 modifiers, either shotgun only, melee only, sniper only, or item heaven, so the map's just covered in stuff. And it's 28 player small circle that decreases quite rapidly, and it lasts like 5 to 10 minutes, and it's really fun. And I won 2 sniper games today, and I'm very happy about it. Also, PUBG's been really busy this week. Also on the PUBG front, they announced yesterday, maybe the day before, the first official PUBG Invitational, which is happening between the 25th and the 29th of July in Berlin. It's going to have 20 invited teams taking part, and there is a 2 million prize pool, and it's being run by...
What's the team size limit?
4 people a team.
Okay.
Yes, that's 4-man squads, 24-man squads.
That's the highest squad you can have.
And you said there's a $2 million prize pool?
Yeah, and it's the first official tournament being run by like PUBG Corp. I guess it's because people have like been running some PUBG tournaments, but this is their first big push for like proper esports coverage.
Fair enough.
What else we got? Also in the Battle Royale thing, so H1Z1, one of the old sort of originators of the Battle Royale genre, is coming to PS4 in May. It was announced. So that will be going up against Fortnite on PS4. Obviously, PUBG is Xbox only at the moment. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they kind of take off at all on PS4. Maybe the PUBG people who can't have PUBG on PS4 will pick it up. But yeah, see what happens there. And then the only other thing is Fortnite's making shitloads of money. They announced that Fortnite Mobile is only available on iOS at the moment. But they announced in the first official month of release, like after the beta stuff, they did like 25 million on iOS in a month.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense. Like, it's literally the highest streamed game on Twitch, and it has been for the last like 3 months. But like, it's huge.
Kids go apeshit for that stuff.
Yeah, like, so the fact that they can now play it on their phones is bonkers. Yeah. And like once it releases on Android as well, like they're just going to be making stupid money.
There's been so much stuff going on in the media because of Some countries are literally trying to ban it.
Oh
no,
yeah.
Well, no. Some countries are trying to ban the game in their country because it promotes violence and loads of other stuff. Like, yeah, basically, like there was a big thing that happened where some guy joined it started from this video, this guy trolling this team, and the majority of his team were like 12-year-olds. And he was coming out with some really graphic stuff. Like, yeah, it was the video is really disturbing, to be fair. Like, the guy needs to sort his life out. But yeah, it basically triggered this uproar with a bunch of parents, and they were trying to like get it banned in schools and stuff like that.
I guess that kind of brings
there's a bit of a boycott against it.
The wider problem of like just toxicity in online games. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
it's a widespread issue that's been around.
That's a topic in itself.
I think that is a really fucking good topic, and we should write that down. That's a good theme. But yeah, I mean, you can't single it out to one specific game.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
It's fully based on the player base, isn't it? But yeah, so that's your Battle Royale news.
My Battle Royale roundup.
Cool. I've got a couple of minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Mine's only just one. Just today it came out that the Switch has been hacked. Dun dun dun.
I did see that.
So there was an exploit. So basically, there's an exploit in the processor, which is in every single current released Nintendo Switch. So the Tegra X1. There is an exploit in that has been found by Fail Overflow. And Kate Temick apparently delivered the exploits, from what I'm reading.
Fail Overflow is a proper hacker name.
Yeah, he's big on the. Yeah, I know he's big on the scene as well with like finding this shit out with these different systems and whatever. So yeah, basically every Switch that's out currently can be potentially opened up for homebrew and piracy and all that good stuff. So there's working versions of Linux on some Switches and stuff out there, which I've been screwing around with. So yeah, Nintendo needs to like either
we're gonna drop a patch.
Well, no. This is the thing, because it's to do with the hardware. They need to revise their hardware to stop this from becoming more of a thing.
But even still, that doesn't fix the issue that they have millions of Switches currently out.
Exactly, but I don't know if you remember back when the DS was out. Is like that was something that was never fixed. The R4 cards that come out for DS, you could get them forever and a day. Yeah. So piracy was never solved in that. So it's kind of like, have they shot themselves in the foot again this time round, but with the Switch? And if it's with the Switch, then I don't know how widespread the piracy will be, because let's be honest, how many people are actually going to, I'm sure it'll be a very small dent in their market that actually affects
It'll be a percentage of the player base, but I don't think it's going to be a big percentage.
No, exactly. It's still a big deal though, and I think this is the first out of any sort of current-gen console that's been exploited like this. I know, I think the PS4 was done, but it was something that was patchable and stuff like that. Whereas this is big shit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few months as people get their hands on this exploit.
Keep an eye on it. Watch the space.
Exactly.
All right. So I've got a cool bit of news. Now this actually was announced back on the 11th, but I don't know how it just surpassed me, because I've been following this game since its inception. Dauntless, which is the rival to Monster Hunter World, basically. Like it's another hunter genre game. It's been in closed beta for the last 3 months now, and they've just announced that it's going to open beta, and there's going to be a new content patch. So I will be playing the shit out of this game. They've got so that's happening on the 24th of May, so May bank holiday. So I'm gonna lose my life. It's gonna be dirty. So they've got like 800,000 people that are playing it currently in the closed beta. So it's just gonna explode. It's gonna be huge. I'm super excited for it. It looks like I don't know, the art style for me.
Yeah, the art style is like
is what sells it. Like, so I watched this back in
cell shade.
Cell shaded, yeah. But all of the explorable islands are all procedurally generated, so it's all randomized stuff. So every hunt you go on,
Monster Hunter.
Well, it is and it isn't. Like there are some systems in Dauntless that Monster Hunter don't have, and it makes it quite a unique game to Monster Hunter. I mean, I don't know much about it because I've not really been reading about it recently. But yeah, I watched a bunch of streamers play this back in alpha, and it was at the point where they basically like didn't have any armor designs or anything like that. Like it was all placeholder.
Yeah.
And all of that's changed. They've got like full armor sets now. That there's like something like 40 different armor sets in the game. Like it's a huge patch that they're putting out. So I am going to play the balls out of this game.
This looks crazy good. I'm not gonna lie.
Are you going to play it with me?
I'll 100% play this. Yeah, this is.
Yes.
I loved Monster Hunter. It's kind of one of those things that I put down because the people I was playing with on PS4 sort of stopped playing, so I stopped playing. Kind of waiting for that PC release for that. But yeah,
incidentally, I'm waiting for that PC release. When that PC release comes out, I'm going to lose my life to that as well.
Yeah.
But I think for the time being, this Dauntless open beta will be.
I mean, I'm like I say, I don't know a lot about the game, but if you like Monster Hunter, from what I'm seeing right here, if you like Monster Hunter, you need to check this out because this looks legit.
For sure.
It's very pretty as well. Very pretty looking game.
It is a very good looking game. I do like it. The engine it's built in is quite impressive. So that's one piece of news. I suppose I'm going to talk about the Destiny 2 DLC announcement as well because no one else did. So the next Destiny 2 DLC was announced, and there was a very interesting video dropped for it that didn't really tell us anything about it. It was just like this chick was on the screen and she was like, "War mines are a thing," and then she jumps off a cliff.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they did drop that video during the reveal stream that was an hour long, so there was a lot more content in that. So they did talk about it quite a lot. But that's just like a prologue. That was more of a character introduction video than like a thing for the DLC, but yeah.
I'm kind of at the point where I'm just like, I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I'll fuck with it because I've still got Destiny installed on my computer. I'll patch it, I'll play it. If it's going to be anything like the last DLC, I'll play it for 4 hours and then never pick it up again.
I still have it installed, but I can't envision myself going back. I literally can't. Like with the amount of stuff at the moment that I've got to play, and the amount of good shit that's still to come, like this year, it's just like it's going to take Destiny something huge, and like drag the whole squad back for me to go back onto that game.
Yeah, I mean they've announced a lot of different, armor sets and weapons and stuff like that. Like there's a huge amount of collectibles coming into it, but I don't know. I mean, they need to put out some good content. Like
I mean the key thing that they kind of one of the key things they were talking about yesterday was this new kind of, it's kind of like a public eventy type thing that you can just trigger repeatedly. Like they literally said you could run it 24/7 if you wanted to.
Good. More grinding.
No, but this public event, so it's like it's a seven stage like horde mode with a boss at the end, and it has unique weapons and armor sets attached to this specific event, and the unique weapons have unique perks as well. So the one that they showed off was a shotgun that if you melee someone, and then you then get increased shotgun damage for like 5 seconds or something. So there's a few little like tweaks and bits and pieces, and they actually said it's really fucking hard to do the 7 waves. They had like their big community summit last week where they had the content, all the YouTubers and streamers go to Bungie, and they all had massive discussions about the future of the game, and they let them play this new mode. And they all said it's really difficult, but make it harder. And they've made it harder. So it's actually it should be quite challenging.
Dato did a really good video on it as well, actually, like discussing what went down and their sort of thoughts behind behind their feedback, basically, like why they've told them to do certain things, essentially. So, I mean, like off the bat, good on Bungie for doing the summit because if they're taking the opinions of their players into account, that's like step one, right? Like
it's the first time they've done anything like this as well.
Exactly.
Big step in the right direction.
They're on the right path, in my opinion. I mean, putting out this like new content, because it's not a raid or a new strike or that's the next step. And I don't know, just talking about it makes me think, actually, I'll play it.
It might be one of those cases again of like the Division or something like that, and like this time next year we might be saying, oh, actually, Destiny did a complete 180 and now it's great again.
I mean, that's true, but the thing that still bugs me is the fact that Destiny 2 released in this state.
Destiny 1.
I always come back to the fact that Destiny 1, they had it in a good place, and then they just threw it all away.
It. Yeah.
Like it just boggles my mind. But yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Let's go. Should we just get to our topic? I don't think
let's do it.
That important to talk about.
Pretty good little roundup of the news and what we've been playing in what?
I mean, we're 35 minutes in, so yeah, let's get back.
Oh, there you go. But that gives us another 25 minutes to spew shit at you about some characters and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
you can lead.
I was going to pass the buck to you, but okay.
I'm going to eat this mini roll, so I'm not going to.
That's
take
mini
the
roll
buck.
number 2.
Oh God, where do we even start with a topic like this? I mean, there's so many different iconic characters.
I'm more than happy to jump in if you.
All right, I'll jump in. Here we go. That's how we're going to do it.
Or you jump in. No, you're in a mini roll. Screw you.
I didn't even hear what Ed said. But yeah, okay.
I'd jump in.
You go ahead. Go on.
Right. So when we discussed doing this topic, there's 3 characters that kind of jumped, like. In this kind of best, memorable, whatever you want to describe it. The first one that jumped into my head was Gordon Freeman. Like, iconic first-person, like, character, which ironically you never really see in the game. He's only really been seen... I think there might be mirrors in the game that you might see him in, but you only really see him...
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But yeah, you only ever actually see him. What?
Legit asking who?
Who are we talking about right now?
Gordon Freeman?
Motherfucking Gordon Freeman!
You need to leave.
So, what game are we talking about?
Yeah. Oh my god!
Don't know who Gordon Freeman is?
Half-Life, bro!
Yeah,
I never played Half-Life.
Oh god! Oh, fuck this!
I fucked around in some of the... in some of the modded maps and stuff, but I never actually played the Half-Life game.
Wow.
Oh
so
my!
I don't know who the characters are. Or
good
like
baby, ladies and gentlemen, this is the definition of Perry Lee not playing games other than RuneScape. Oh fuck!
Well,
wow, this is going to be an interesting episode.
So, like the time that this was out, I was balls deep in World of Warcraft, and there was no way that
the first one, Warcraft didn't exist.
Yeah.
How old is it?
Like 98.
Oh. All right.
Oh well,
carry on.
fuck me then.
Fuck me, right?
Oh well.
So yeah, this like seminal iconic character that Perry's never heard of. Yeah.
To be fair, I know a few people who listen to this podcast who may not know who Gordon Freeman is.
Yeah. It's one of those weird things. Like he is a very iconic character, but you might not know his name. But you would probably recognise him. He's the weird,
I was just saying,
nerdy
Perry,
guy.
if you Google Gordon Freeman right now, you would have seen Gordon Freeman. 9,000,000%. He's one of those. Again, it's because he doesn't talk. I'm not wrong in saying that. He doesn't.
With glasses. It looks like Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, and his orange armour.
Yeah.
And his orange armour.
Yeah,
he doesn't talk, does he?
Yeah, no, that was one of the big things. Like throughout, I was going to say both the Half-Life games.
Well, no, just the episodes.
Yeah, all right. Throughout all the Half-Life games, he never speaks. And the other thing that was a really interesting thing that actually made Half-Life's name for itself was the fact that you never leave his perspective during the entire game. All cutscenes play out from your perspective. You never leave first person. Yeah. So it was very unique in that every time you had a cutscene, you were able to walk around while the characters were talking, and you embodied this character who never spoke. And then it became an in joke, characters would be, oh, you're a man of few words, and all that kind of stuff. He never talks, because the whole point of it was to give the player. What was that?
Perry's, I have no clue what you're talking about. This was me for the whole podcast last week, just like, haha. Haha cards!
Haha.
Yeah, the whole point of him not talking was was the role playing aspect, for the player to immerse themselves in the character, so that his voice didn't break the immersion. It was you were essentially role playing as this character, and that was that.
That was one of those games that sort of broke the mold for first-person shooters and stuff like that in general. Though, like Half-Life is one of those games which is it changed the landscape really of like storytelling within a first-person shooter, which that harkens to what you've just said of you are truly role-playing as this character.
Yeah.
Like you are meant to feel like Gordon Freeman. You are Gordon Freeman kind of thing. He is very iconic, but I can understand that he's one of those characters because you don't really see him. And he's kind of, I'd say he's sort of one of the, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but the sort of like the least respected characters in games, maybe because like
underappreciated.
Underappreciated. That's what I was trying to get at. I am fucking retarded, people. Don't forget that.
You got so excited there.
I did.
Underappreciated.
That's the word.
That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah, he's very, very underappreciated and underrated. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely, I agree. Who were the other two? Who?
So the other two. So John Marsden who was the lead character in Red Dead Redemption. Absolutely loved that character. He was fantastic to play as. Like there's something about him that was that whole kind of grey area sort of character. Like he had this kind of like he used to be an outlaw, but now he was trying to like do right by his family by like tracking down his gang. So it was a really kind of grey area kind of character and sort of morally and like just really interesting, really kind of true to himself and the game world. And
I think that is a very relatable character.
Right? Exactly. Yeah,
I think that's the big appeal to him. It's like, you can see why he's done some of the shit he's done.
Yeah.
You can see that he regrets it. Like you should, and he's now trying to do what's right. It's a very relatable character.
And while he's trying to do the honourable thing, he's almost like an anti-hero in a way as well because of all the stuff he's done, and you're going around killing people to try and essentially kind of clear your name, I guess. But yeah, it's one of those characters. I mean, I've said many times on this podcast, Red Dead is one of my favourite games of all time. He is one of the reasons for that. He is also one of the reasons that I am trying to temper my expectations for the sequel because he is not the main character, even if he's going to be a part of it. We haven't really officially seen him in the game, but he kind of has to be because he was part of the gang. So I guess he's going to be in there somewhere. But yeah, it's kind of for me he's very much the core of Red Dead Redemption, and
and last but not least, I'm gonna check out Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher. Fucking swooped in, didn't you?
Yeah. Is that going to be one of yours?
He's up there for me. He's just a cool dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he's so fun, and like the amount of times in-game cutscenes where one of the like NPCs or whoever you're chatting to will make some really like cliched RPG style like comment, and he'll just be like, yeah, all right. Like, what you fucking talking about? I'm just gonna go kill some monsters.
He's so fucking nonchalant with shit, isn't he?
And but it kind of mirrors it almost mirrors what the player is thinking. It's like, oh, hang on, Splod just come to say hello and attack my phone.
Cat car.
I shut the door. I shut the door, and he's broken in.
He's actually in here today. I don't know if you can see him. I know he's like down there.
On his little
He's
bed.
also very wet, which is slightly disturbing. Why
and Catman's behind me. He's playing Xbox or PlayStation. He's got something.
Fuck off.
Anyway,
so cat interaction. Come on. Yeah, Garrett. I mean, I just love him. He's such a fun character. God, Splodge, go away.
He gets the women as well. That dude, like
he does. He does like the ladies. He likes
ladies, and like even like the demon women as well. It's like, all right.
Yeah, he's
not fussy. He's not fussy. He's such a fun character. Again, like steeped in lore. There's like, I mean, I guess a lot of it comes from the books that the games are kind of loosely based on.
Yeah. He's going to be very interesting. Like while we're talking of that character as well, with that Netflix series is going to come. It's going to be very interesting to see the casting choice for him as well.
Yeah,
like,
that's going to be. Yeah, that is going to be very interesting.
Real bad motherfucker to play him, I think. To be honest, so like they need to do good with that, and that voice as well. That's a very iconic voice.
Yeah,
like,
Which is really weird when that voice actor turns up as bit parts in other games. He played the voice actor did like a random NPC in Horizon Zero Dawn. So you'd be walking through one of the markets and then hear Geralt like off in the distance. You'd be like, what? Yeah.
Like Geralt, you hear?
So yeah, that's
character I want to bring up, I want to speak of, comes from one of my favourite franchises, and this goes back to what you were saying of how like the character's yours to make and like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Shepard from Mass Effect, like for me, I never when I played Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, my Shepard was always default Shepard. So that face for me was
really?
that. I'm not one. I can never be bothered to make characters games. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like default face 2, done.
You know how I know you're not an MMO player?
Yeah. No, when I play MMOs, no. To be fair, when I play MMOs, I do put a little bit of effort in and make my character stuff like that. But in general, if it's like a Mass Effect or something like that, I'll just use stock face. And for me, like Shepard's face was on the box, so like for me, it was like that's the character.
It's funny because when you say Shepard from Mass Effect, I visualize my Shepard because I had him through all 3 games, and so that's the character that I imagined.
That's the interesting thing about it.
He looked a bit like Captain Picard. He was bald, and he was called Mungo.
Yeah, no, I had that supermodel dude who they used as the face model for him, whatever the fuck his name was, who was the Shepard on the box and stuff like that. And obviously later on, Fem Shep became a thing and stuff like that. But for me, Shepard was the male Shepard that was on the box, and I never even changed his name. You know, you could change his name. He was always John Shepard for me.
Mine was John Mungo Shepard.
Yeah, I know obviously you can have different variations and stuff like that, but I just fucking literally that character for me is just.
It's interesting you bring him up because it's a good example of a character that you literally build yourself. Like, and he might, and for that reason, he might not be as iconic for other players as he is for some others because obviously his persona and personality is purely based on your decisions.
Like, that's what I was going to get into. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you go full bad, like dark side, I can't remember what the fuck it was called, renegade. If you go full renegade, like he turns into a dick.
Yeah,
and he's
but
like,
the thing I don't care.
I'll commit genocide and kill everyone.
At the core, though, you still go through pretty much the same experiences of the game and stuff like that.
Yeah,
true. So he still remains like an iconic character. Still, I mean, even Femshep, like I say later on.
I think the fact that I say like I recall my version of Shepard, but the fact that he sticks in my mind. It's because of the characterization, not because of my weird design choices. It's because again, it's that relationship you build with the character over the arc of those 3 games.
Exactly. I mean, like when Mass Effect 2 starts off and like you die and stuff like that, and and obviously even then coming to, and then the way 3 wraps up and stuff like that is I was very attached to that character coming to that, and it was gutting for me coming into when they did Andromeda. Okay, yeah, it was bad anyway. But they did Andromeda, and it was sad to think, I'm going to play a Mass Effect game and not be Shepard. That'd be like playing Halo. For me, it was kind of like playing Halo and not being the Chief. I know they've done that in Halo games, and I hate it every time you're not the Chief. Because the character is the game kind of thing, you know? It'd be like playing God of War and the God of War not being Kratos. You know?
I liked Halo Reach. I thought the campaign with Halo Reach was really good, having that strike squad.
No, I agree. Yeah, okay, that was a very, very good game. Okay. But that was because it was like a prequel. But in general, core Halo games, right? In a Halo game, I fundamentally want to be the Chief. For me, that's that character. I want to be the Chief. If I play Super Mario, I don't want to play as Luigi. I want to play Mario. I want to be Mario in that game. You know?
Yeah, makes sense.
So, like you attach, like I say, it'd be like God of War coming back, and they did a Norse mythology one, but it wasn't Kratos. It was a new God of War for this new era of that franchise. You know what I mean?
It was like it was actually Odin who is the Norse God of War.
Yeah.
You know, where you don't play as Kratos, you play as Odin because you're still the God of War, but in Norse mythology.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Kratos wasn't the God of War in Greek mythology. Some dude who kills the god, but whatever. You know what I mean? It's a different character. So yeah, but no, for me, Shepard definitely ranks up there, 100%. And the Master Chief. I touched on him, Master Chief. Everybody knows I'm Jack.
Yeah, we know.
Everybody knows I love Halo. Yeah, exactly. Chief.
Have you got any more to talk about?
I've got loads to talk about. You go.
So yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I was like, how do I categorize my choices here? So I'm like, I've got one character in mind, although in the franchise there are two characters that are fully prominent and that I've mad, respect for the creators of. And then I've got another character in mind for like the most comical character that I've ever come across in a game. So firstly, in terms of like lore and backstory, it's actually Arthas from Warcraft, the Warcraft series. So the thing I like about this character is like you see this character's development. So if you play Warcraft 3, you see this character's development from a paladin prince of the realm, and you see him transition into the Lich King, like the Lord of the Dead. Like, and the transition throughout the Warcraft 3 game campaign is great because it's not like it's another one of those situations where like you can kind of put yourself in his shoes, because what he does, he basically picks up Frostborn, which is like the sort of power that turns him into the Lich King, because he needs the power to save his people. So like he does the noble thing, sacrifices himself and becomes the Lich King, and then becomes like this tool of power basically for evil. But his character development throughout the whole game is like really on point. Like it's a really great character arc. And the other character in that franchise.
Can I just say, just before you go on to your next character, it's interesting you pick a character like that, because like you don't play. I haven't played Warcraft 3, but do you actually play as Arthas?
Yeah, you do. So
okay.
Basically there's a campaign for each race, and in the human campaign you play as Arthas.
Oh, okay.
You go to what the fuck's the island called? I can't remember. Icecrown. And then you get Frostmourne. Like it's Northrend. Yeah, that's it. You go through the campaign and you go to Northrend. You establish a base. You go find Frostmourne and you become the Lich King basically. And the actual storytelling of the campaign is really on point for me. Like it's a really great campaign to play through. And even in like the Warcraft,
that's what I was saying.
Even in World of Warcraft, like
I was thinking that's what you meant. Is you would carry on. You meant you saw his whole story obviously through World of Warcraft as well.
So in World of Warcraft, you don't actually encounter him again until Wrath of the Lich King, which is obviously the second expansion. So there are literally two games where you don't really see him. Like in some of the levelings, you get a bit of lore and you get a bit of history, and like they talk about like where Arthas is now and all that sort of stuff, because obviously World of Warcraft happens like it's about 30 years after the actual events of that happening. Well, actually no, it's probably not even that far. It's probably about 15 years after the events of the Warcraft 3 franchise. But yeah, like when you get to Icecrown, like one of my most iconic gaming moments is fighting the Lich King, King Arthas, for the first time, and being like, holy shit. Like this is actually like I've gone from watching this character in a top-down sort of real-time strategy, into now fighting and killing him in the MMO. Like it's a massive journey. And the other character in the franchise that I bring up as well is Thrall, who is obviously like the Horde war chief. But his entire character arc, I think that the Warcraft franchise in general for me was like the first introduction to actual in-depth lore-based characters, because I didn't really encounter a game other than like maybe the Final Fantasy franchises, but even then I didn't find myself wanting to be like looking up his history. But like I remember when I was in school and like in college, I would spend hours looking through the wiki to find out like the history of all these characters from the World of Warcraft franchise. But yeah, his transition as well, like more so in World of Warcraft than in Warcraft 3, like his character arc on how he becomes the war chief, and then he has to sacrifice, like he sacrifices his title as war chief to fix the world, and then he becomes an aspect, one of the elemental aspects, and then becomes his huge transition is really great, and it was one that I liked to follow. Like it was a really good way to progress the MMO, just by like following, because that's essentially what they've done with the MMOs. Like all the content patches are based around characters in their lore. Like that's it. They're so how do we develop the next expansion? They're like, well, let's have the world break and make Thrall go and fix it. It's like, and that's exactly what happened in the in Cataclysm. Deathwing blew up the world essentially. Thrall went to another realm to confide with the elements. Gave up his mantle of war chief and then became the aspect of the earth and fixed the world. it was a good transition. So they're like my two like in terms of like character progression and story arcs, they're my two most iconic characters, I think. And then obviously for the most comedic character I think I've ever encountered, it's got to be GLaDOS. Like it's like
I was thinking of GLaDOS when we were talking about Half-Life a minute ago. Yeah,
like just for the sheer sense of humor that they built into that character, like it was
that was a great character.
The bits where like even when you eventually like spoilers, even when you eventually dismantle her, she still berates you, and she's still like, yep, you're unlikable, likable by others. Like yes, that was a very
definitely
good,
an iconic one.
Good iconic character.
And considering it's essentially just the voice, you know. Like...
that's
for
it.
The majority of the game, you just get the voice and you're over.
You never interact with an actual character. It's just a voice.
Yeah. It's an interesting topic because there's so many different kinds of characters that you relate with. Like there's characters you relate with at like a character level, and there's characters like a Mario or a Sonic who like might not have like the best story or anything like that, but they're just these characters that are so iconic. And you know, I mean, obviously characters like Sonic and Mario, everybody knows who they are, and the whole cast of like Nintendo stuff, like Donkey Kong and Princess Peach, Toad, all that stuff. You know, there's all. Yeah, Link. I mean, Link has a bit of a beefier like Mario games. The plot's real loose. Like, the princess has been stolen. Let's go save her again. It's the same every game, whereas Link actually gets like a story. Yeah. But yeah,
there are like even outside of like those main franchises. Well, I say outside, like even all the Final Fantasy leads, like Gaul, Zidane, like they're all great characters.
Cloud.
Like, Cloud. Well, Cloud.
How iconic is fucking Cloud?
Cloud is iconic, but in terms of his actual character, Cloud was a little bitch.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But like in terms of the most iconic characters from those games, he's got to be.
Is, well, when you think of Final Fantasy, you think
even
of
I've heard
Cloud. Yeah, exactly.
Even I've heard of Cloud.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Even if you've never played a Final Fantasy game, you know who Cloud is. You know, he's kind of like the figurehead of that franchise a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So like I found it quite hard to think of like, you know,
there's like these other characters as well. Without... Like I was thinking about it as well. It's like you got to think there's guys like Sam Fisher, for instance, what we talked about last week from Splinter Cell, like massively iconic character. Like he's the ultimate sneaker and shit like that. So, Solid Snake. Speaking of sneaking, like how iconic.
I wondered if someone would bring up. I hoped one of you guys would bring up Solid Snake. Actually, he's somebody.
Of course. I mean, he is an icon amongst icons. That man, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, again, he's one of those characters. Like, if you saw an image of him, it doesn't matter if you play games or not. You'd probably know who he was, or you'd recognise.
I mean, he was probably one of the defining characters of like the PlayStation 2 kind of era. Like, it was,
exactly.
MGS was
100%. I mean, he's done all sorts of. He's in Super Smash Bros. And stuff like that as well. Like, he's that kind of character that.
I think that's almost like the test, or at least like the Nintendo test. It's like if a character makes it into Smash Bros. You're like, you made it. You made it. You're iconic. You did good. Like like Samus as well. Samus from Metroid. Like,
God,
icon.
Yeah.
You know.
100%.
I remember the first time I found out that Samus was a woman. I was like, holy shit.
I did not know that until I was like 14.
I
had no idea Samus was a woman. Had no idea. I was never really much of a Metroid player though either. So
talking of female characters, Lara Croft.
Yep.
One of the most iconic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be an interesting list, wouldn't it? Of like who is the most iconic. Like, if you had to pick one off the top of your head.
The most iconic.
It's got to be. It's got. Well, actually, it's probably Mario.
I would have to say it has to be Mario. Yeah.
Mario, yeah.
But I would imagine someone like Lara Croft would be.
I was gonna say she'd be up there. That's what I was gonna say. She'd be high, top 3, top 5. I'd say.
No, I don't think she'd be that high.
I think. I really think she would.
You think of that era she came in, and she really stood out because it's like a female protagonist. Like they were not a thing. I mean, I know you had Samus, but again, a lot of people didn't even know Samus was a fucking chick. I know we weren't the only ones who didn't know she was a chick.
Lara Croft has crossed over into mainstream, not only with the movies, of course, but also like back in like the PS2 days. I think it was around the sort of the Tomb Raider 1 and 2. Like she was featured in like adverts for Lucasade and stuff. Like the 3D model was used in advertising. So it's like
she's just one of those characters again that it doesn't matter if you play games or not. You know who Lara Croft is.
No,
let's do it. Let's do it now. I think my top 3 iconic video game characters. Number 1 is Mario. Number 2 is probably Pikachu, because
he would count, I guess. Yeah,
he 100% counts. And then number 3, I forgot it. I had a really good one. Balls.
Well, I'm telling you, my top 2.
Link. My top 3 are Mario, Pikachu, and Link.
My top 2 for iconic / recognisable characters, probably more so recognisable. 1 Mario, 2 Sonic. Yeah. I'd say that is. Those two.
If you're going for recognisable iconic characters, Pac-Man.
Yeah. I'm saying the top 2 though. I'd say thinking Pac-Man. It's amazing how
it's too hard.
Yeah.
This is very hard. These characters like transcend though, don't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, there are something like Pac-Man that's been around for like since the beginning. But then you've got
like the characters like who weren't initially game characters. Do we count them as well? Because people like obviously like Batman and stuff like that.
That don't count.
No.
I do want to give the Bat a shout though, because I love the Arkham games, and that version of Batman in those games is one of the best versions of Batman, in my opinion.
But let's not fuck around. The first gaming version of Batman is Batman Forever, obviously. Like, and that's the most iconic. Like, I remember playing Batman Forever and being like, "Yeah, this is fucking great." Like, and just every now and then, you'd hear Two-Face be like, "Who is Batman?"
Oh God.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, those games weren't great, but
it's great. The games were great. What are we talking about?
Batman and Robin on PlayStation 1 was like one of the worst games I've ever played.
Can any of you name the characters from Streets of Rage?
Name?
No.
Oh, wow.
I know you eat chickens. Who the fuck knows the names?
I feel like one of them's called Ralph, but it's probably not.
Can you name them?
No, that's why I asked you.
I have no idea.
Streets of Rage was an iconic game.
I just used to kick telephone boxes and eat chicken.
That's another good point. Iconic video game characters that you just don't know what the fuck they're called.
What are the dudes' names from Double Dragon? All I know is they're red and blue. Do they have names?
Yeah, red and blue. That must be their names.
Exactly. Like, do they have fucking names? I don't know.
Just mentioning Streets of Rage, just Street Fighter. There's a whole
exactly. Ryu, Ken, all of that whole
Chun-Li
cast.
and Bison.
Tekken as well.
All of those characters massively. Well, maybe not all of them as iconic, but like Nina Williams and Paul and Jin and stuff like that. Like, they're crazy iconic.
So Double Dragon, they're called the Lee brothers. One is called Billy Lee, and the other one is called Jimmy Lee.
How do I not remember this? The fucking Double Dragon movie. Double Dragon movie.
Billy and Jimmy.
They had a film. Yeah.
Wow.
It weren't good. But yeah, like this is like such a broad topic. We've shot ourselves.
I think we should probably cut it here. I think we could do a part 2 of this at a later date.
But we need to maybe let's structure it a bit better, because we were just like, characters. We were like, how do we do that? Like, there are so many different genres and types and, lists.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like Mario and Solid Snake are two very, very different characters of two very, very different genres. So
I reckon we should do like one episode where we do like a little mini game between us, where like we have like 10 or 15 rounds of like iconic game. Well, not necessarily iconic game characters, but games from like characters from like old games. We'll do like a tally to see who gets the most.
How about we have a little quick fire round game now? We'll say great or poo, and I'll throw some names out, and then you have to tell me great or poo. Overview.
Sure.
All right. Sure.
Okay. Right. Lightning from Final Fantasy.
Great.
No idea.
That means poo then.
Poo.
Okay, cool. Solid Snake.
Great.
Great.
Sam Fisher.
Great.
Tails.
Great.
Yeah, great.
Great.
Great is
Knuckles.
fucking great.
Yeah.
Great.
Knuckles.
Poo.
Both great, yeah? Oh,
No,
poo.
poo.
Oh, he doesn't
Knuckles is
like Tails. Oh,
rubbish.
no. Oh, no.
Knuckles
Toad.
is the best.
Toad.
From Mario.
Toad. Mario. Toad.
Poo.
Princess Peach.
Oh no, Toad's great.
Poo. Princess Peach is a bitch. She just needs to give it up to Mario. Like, it's been like 20 years. And he's
Bowser.
still...
Bowser.
Great.
Donkey Kong.
Great.
Great.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Obviously. Fuck, what sort of question is that?
I'm kidding because he's not a character. He's not a video game character. He's a video game character in a film about video games.
He is literally a video game character.
Oh, actually, because there's probably a mobile game. Whatever. Cloud Strife.
Poo.
Who? I don't know.
You saying Pooh's a Cloud? Cloud's from
Yeah, Cloud's a little bitch. He's a little bitch. Like in the whole franchise.
Noctis, Final Fantasy 15. Noctis.
Poo, mostly because I've not played Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, stop naming Final Fantasy characters.
Kratos.
Great.
We could probably finish this.
Gordon Freeman.
Great.
Who?
Last one. Last one. The Master Chief.
Great.
Poo.
I knew one of you would say poo. Yeah. And on that note, we're done. This episode is over. If you've enjoyed this shit, make sure you click subscribe down below. If you've enjoyed this shit, make sure you click that notification bell. If you've enjoyed this shit, go over and follow us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Guys Playing Games. If you've enjoyed this shit, follow us on Twitter @GuysPlayingGs. That's @GuysPlayingGS. If you've enjoyed this shit, make sure you follow us on all the podcast apps and come back next week and watch us and listen to us and all that good stuff. I have been Az.
I've been Perry.
Oh, so close.
Fuck you.
They've been the fucking other two, and that's been Guys Playing Games. This is episode 31. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.